Good evening, good people. It's your girl Nicole, and I'm coming to you live from the Beauty for Ashes room. Y'all know what day it is. That's right, it's Wednesday. I hope you all had a good and productive day today. Welcome to the ninth episode of season 3 of Home Speaks. So, tonight I'll be coming from the topic accountability. So, let's just dive right in and see if we can unpack this topic. Now, if you follow me, then you know what's next. That's right, I gotta give you a definition. So, accountability is defined as the quality or state of being accountable, especially an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility or to account for one's own actions. Accountability is making a conscious decision to do and to be better every day. Now, the biblical or spiritual accountability begins with making a conscious choice. We all have choices, right? A conscious choice of allowing God and others to help and accomplish what is right. And of course, if you have a relationship with God, the Holy Spirit will definitely hold you accountable every time. And there are many ways we can be accountable to our Father. Accountability is a prerequisite for God's grace and mercy. Let me say that again for those of you who may have missed it. Accountability is one of the prerequisites needed for God's grace and mercy. You must be accountable to the gift God gives you so people can benefit from it and see God's glory. You must be accountable to the mantle God places on your life so you can carry it in integrity and it won't be that heavy. You must be accountable to the assignment God gives you so you can finish it so everything can fall into place. You must be accountable to his instructions so his will can be done in your life. You must be accountable for the life he gives you so you can glorify his name with it. You must be accountable to the people he allows a covenant bond with, your bloodline and everyone attached to you by way of God, so they can see the God in you and know him, or should I say, they might want to get to know him for themselves. So all that to say, you have to be accountable to God. So, you might be wondering, how can you be accountable to God? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let me share some tips on how you can do that. You can read his word, first and foremost, of course. You can believe his word when you read it. Because there's one thing to read his word, and there's another to read and believe what you're actually reading. And then you can apply his word to your life. You can be obedient in his commands for your lives. You can embrace the change he brings out of you when you come under submission to his will. And most of all, we can show gratitude in all things. Gratitude goes a long way, people. It goes a long way. For if it was not for God, if it was not for him, what would you have? You would have absolutely nothing. There would be nothing for you to be accountable for if it were not for God. And the more knowledge you have of God's will, the more you are accountable for doing it, for carrying it out, for not interfering with it. Where it says in Romans 2:12, y'all know I got to bring Bible to it. And I'll read from the New International Version, and it reads, all who sin apart from the law will perish apart from the law. And all who sin under the law will be judged by the law. And what this simply means is the more you know, the greater your level of accountability. You will be held accountable to his word to whatever extent you understand it. And I think that's sometimes why people don't even want to read. That's why some people don't want to read his word, because they don't want to be held accountable. I guess they figure, if I don't know, he can't say nothing to me. I can't be held accountable for something I don't know. But just like with anything else, and if you're paying attention to how people operate these days, you'll see for the most part, if not all, most people do not like accountability. They just don't like it. They don't like accountability because they themselves lack integrity. They don't like accountability because they don't like correction. And that's a big one these days. Too many people don't like to be corrected, and that's because they walk in the spirit of offense. They don't like accountability because they like playing the victim's role. Woe is me, right? They don't like accountability because they fear negative exposure of themselves, but yet still they behave in the same way. Make that make sense to me. But think about these examples of those types of people. Think about that one friend you may have. The one that has a habit of blaming others for most, if not all, of their problems, rather than being honest with themselves about what their part in it was. The ones that don't like accountability. But sometimes, because we want to keep the friendship or not make them mad with us or something, or whatever the case may be, we withhold holding those people accountable just to keep the peace in the relationship. Not realizing that by doing that, it just makes matters worse. It doesn't work that way, right? So, because if you think about it, who can learn from that? Who can learn from getting a pass every time? What can a person really learn, or how can a person grow if they're surrounded by a habitual cosigner? Think about that the next time you're presented with an opportunity to hold someone dear to you, a person that you care about, accountable, and you don't do it. Because if you don't, are you really their friend? Can you really call yourself a friend when you're presented with an opportunity to hold them accountable and you don't do it? Are you really their friend? Are you really their friend if you bypass accountability with them? Think about it when it comes to dealing with people that you say you love and care about, because it's a detriment if you don't. See, everyone, and this is just my way of thinking, my opinion, everyone should have an accountability partner, not a cosigner. So let me say that again. Everyone should have an accountability partner and not a cosigner. Someone who condones everything you do. They condone everything you do and everything you say. They just go with the flow. Wherever you go, they go. Whatever you're saying, they're saying. Whatever you're doing, they're doing. Right? So that's why we need an accountability partner. We don't need those people that condones everything we do. We don't need a cosigner. Those types of people will bring you more harm than good and lead you down a path of destruction. Because let's be clear on one thing. What you don't correct, you condone. Let me say that again. What you don't correct, you condone. So let me ask you this, because y'all know I love my questions. Do you have a cosigner in your life, or are you the one doing the cosigning? So if you call yourself a friend, a loved one, family, a spouse, best friend, a sister, a brother, a significant other, part of your job in that relationship is to hold those people accountable. There's no way around it. Well, there shouldn't be a way around it. Because like I said earlier, if you don't hold them accountable, how are they going to learn? How are they going to grow? See, most people, if you think about it, they behave and they do the things that they do over and over and over again. They do these things repeatedly because no one ever took the time to have a conversation with them or told them to stop doing what they were doing. No one ever told them about themselves. No one ever told them that what they did or what they said was wrong. No one ever called them out on their foolishness. They just co-sign. They act like they didn't see it, act like they didn't hear it, or they add on to what was done, right? Those co-signers. We don't need those types of people in our lives. So what happens, they continue to live that way that they're living, and no change is being done. No change is being made. Listen, I don't want nobody around me that's not going to push me to grow, push me to be better, tell me when I'm wrong, hold me accountable. That's a prerequisite to be in friendship or any kind of ship, any kind of relationship with me. And now what you do is when you don't hold them accountable, you've become an enabler to the problem, all because you failed to hold them accountable. So we, and I mean, when I say we, I mean all of us. We've got to do better with the people we claim to care about. And not only with others, we must learn to hold ourselves accountable. It ain't just for everybody else but us. Accountability is for us as well. But some people have an issue with doing that because that means they will have to admit to themselves that there's a problem, that there's another side to them, or that they did or said something that brings out a character flaw that's contrary to the persona they display publicly. But if you don't hold yourself accountable, do you really have any right to try to do it with somebody else? If you don't hold yourself accountable, how will you yourself grow? How will you do and speak better? How will you be better? How will you live better? How will you operate better? How will you push yourself? How will you make better choices? How will you reach the point of elevation? How can you move forward? I mean, really, think about it. How can you do anything without accountability? If you're not accountable to your dreams, to your timelines, your visions, your assignments, your goals, and so on, how will it happen? So, are you accountable for how you show up for yourself? And that's a good question that I need you to take the time to answer. Are you accountable for how you show up for yourself? You know, we show up for people. We'll go hard for people that we love, that we care about, that we're in partnership with. And we show up 100% all the time. So how do you show up for yourself? And when you don't show up for yourself like you're supposed to, or like you do for other people, how do you hold yourself accountable? How do you make those changes? How do you notice the change? Because if we don't, we're going to just start living any old kind of way. We're going to start doing whatever we want to do, going wherever we want, hanging out with whoever we want, doing things that is contrary to the person God called us to be. So again, how do you hold yourself accountable? Because let me tell you, God don't deal in confusion. You can't be one way with people and another way with yourself. He don't operate in confusion and chaos and straddling the fence. So I want you all to think about these things. Accountability is tied to a lot of things that's life related. It can open doors and it can also close doors. There's so much you can learn through accountability, and you just have to accept the mere fact that it's a natural and necessary part of life. And a good thing that what self-accountability will do for you, it will force you out of your comfort zone. It will cause you to do daily self-reflections, and that is so important. It will help you transform your relationship with people and with yourself. It aids in productivity and personal development also. It helps you make better decisions. It builds confidence because you will be walking in integrity. It makes you resilient, and it can better equip you to handle life's issues, life's challenges, and the storms that comes your way. So why are we fighting against it? It also allows you to learn from your mistakes rather than blaming others, and that's a big one. It allows you to learn from your mistakes. It allows you to trust yourself more and more with people, the people that you deal with on a daily basis. It can also help you to handle responsibility. We're all responsible for something, right? We're not just only solely responsible for ourselves. It shows you just what you're capable of. It will help you set and achieve realistic goals for yourself and your family. Anybody that's attached to you, they win when you hold yourself accountable. And you'll take ownership of your own choices. And what I mean by that is you're not going to be like, you do something, you choose to do it, and then when it backfires, when it blows up in your face, you want to blame Susie Q. You want to blame John Doe. No. Accountability helps you to take ownership of all of your choices. It motivates you and it keeps you focused. Now, even with all that good stuff that was said, there's another side to that coin. There's another side of the coin of accountability when you don't have any. So lack of accountability, it does the opposite of everything I just mentioned. It's when you fail to accept your shortcomings and your mistakes. And for the most part, it's basically what it is an unwillingness to change. Nobody wants to change. Nobody really wants to change. Nobody really likes change, period. It's because you're not good at admitting when you've made a mistake or you've done wrong by others. And most times you will naturally do whatever you can to justify your actions so that you can better accept or so you can feel better about your decisions. That's what we do. That's what we do when we can't handle it. And not only that, it causes stress. Stress is a number one killer especially of Black people. Stress is out there taking folks out left and right. And lack of accountability also, it brings about consequences that will cost you more than you are willing to pay. Let me say that again. Lack of accountability will bring about consequences that will cost you more than you're willing to pay. So with all that being said, you heard the pros and the cons of accountability. So why fight against accountability when you know what it can do for you, what it can do for your life, how it can get you closer to God, that it can put so much positivity in your life, even if it doesn't feel good, it's still good for you. And then to get you to understand a little bit better, let me draw you a reference. Let me use this example. Let's go back in Genesis. Let's go back talk about Adam and Eve. Now, Adam lacked accountability when God asked him, did he eat from the tree he was commanded not to? And in Genesis 3:12, it reads, the woman you put here with me, she gave me some fruit from the tree and I ate it. Not only him, Eve also lacked accountability when she responded to God's question to her about what she had done by saying, the serpent deceived me and I ate. Now look at how both of them lacked accountability by blaming someone else rather than owning their own mistakes. Rather than saying, God, I'm sorry, I did XYZ. No, they blamed someone else for their actions. And God said in Ecclesiastes 12:14 that he will bring every deed into judgment, including everything hidden, whether it is good or evil. You will be held accountable. Listen, Adam blamed Eve and God, and Eve blamed the serpent. Neither one of them took responsibility for their actions. But who does that sound like, though? Oh, right. Us. It sounds like us. Like Adam and Eve. That's who we sound like. That's how we act. We willingly take part in things, and when God brings it to our attention by way of accountability through the Holy Spirit, we blame the other person instead of owning our own mistakes. And sometimes, not only do we blame other people, we have the audacity to blame God. We blame God just like Adam blamed God that XYZ happened. That's what we do. I mean, think about it. How easy is it to excuse our sins by blaming someone else or some other circumstance? It's really easy to do, really, if you think about it. But either way, God knows the truth. God sees what is done and what we think is done in secret. He knows all. He's omniscient. The things we do when we think no one is watching or will find out about, the things we do behind people's back, all those things, God don't miss. He sees all of it. And he holds us accountable for the things that we do and the things that we say. So remember, when you choose your course of action, when you choose to say the things you say, when you choose to do the things you do, God is going to counter that with his own action as well. Meaning, there will be consequences for your actions. What they say, you're going to reap what you sow. So if you know you have a problem or issue with accountability with God, with people, and more so with yourself, I need you to address that head on. Get to the real issue as to why that is. There's a reason why you rebel against accountability, why you despise it, why you don't acknowledge it, or why you just don't see a need for it in your life. There's a reason. So get to the root as to why you lack accountability, because we need it. You need it. I need it. We all need to be held accountable. So let me ask you this last question. Because, me and questions, I don't know what it is. I just love them. But when something goes wrong in your life, do you automatically blame someone, or do you look for what your part in the situation was? Because there's a big difference between blaming someone and personal self-accountability. And in Hebrews 4:13, and it reads, "Nothing in all creation is hidden from God's sight. Everything is uncovered and laid bare before the eyes of him to whom we must give an account." I just told y'all, God ain't missing nothing. He don't sleep. He don't, even if he blinks, he still knows what you did. He still knows what you said. And what I just read, that's Bible. That ain't something I just made up. That's Bible. Go back and read Hebrews 4:13. That's not me talking. It's Bible. And it says we need accountability. So believe it or not, accountability is necessary. It's a necessary component in producing growth in our lives. So take accountability for your emotions, how you feel about your life in general, about your relationships with yourself, relationships with people, and your relationship with God, and even the things of your past, because it makes a difference for your future. Because let me tell you, a man who is accountable to no one is a danger to himself. Let me say that again. A man who is accountable to no one is a danger to himself. Good people, that's all I have for you on tonight. I pray something was said and you understand the weight of accountability better than you did before. I pray you understand that it is a necessary part of life if we are to continue walking with God. I thank you all for listening. You can follow me on my Facebook page, Home Speaks. You can follow me on my YouTube channel for my weekly Wednesday podcast and all things ministry under Nicole Holmes, Beauty for Ashes. You can also follow me on Spotify for these same podcasts every Wednesday. You can also visit me on my website, beautyforashes8, that's the number 8.com, to purchase my book, Beauty for Ashes, the story behind the breakthrough. Or you can also find my book on Amazon in print and ebook. And as always, if nothing else, remember, you are appreciated. You are needed. You are valued. You are heard. And most of all, you are loved. And every day you wake up, I don't mean just yesterday. I don't mean only today or maybe tomorrow. Every day you wake up, God will give you beauty for ashes. I'm your host, Nicole, and I'll talk to y'all next time. Peace.